Welcome to a special Sunday edition of Judging Freedom. Today is Sunday, May 15th, 2022. It's about 1:15 in the afternoon here on the East Coast of the United States. Another tragedy, another opportunity for liberal politicians to try and suppress liberty. A mass killing, a horrific, horrendous slaughter of 12 innocent human beings in a supermarket yesterday afternoon in Buffalo, New York. It appears it was perpetrated by an 18-year-old white supremacist, and it appears his targets were Black people because of a visceral hatred of African Americans. We learned about this, of course, after it happened, even though he had been posting all this hatred and giving all these warnings ahead of time. It shows how little we are able to learn from all the spying the federal government does on us. It's not effective, and it doesn't enable the police to spot these things before they happen. Nevertheless, this horrific event, which resulted in all these horrible deaths and injuries, has spawned, as usual, politicians threatening your liberties. Here is New York Governor Kathy Hochul threatening Second Amendment rights.
As an aside, we're also going to be preparing our state for what could be a Supreme Court decision that allows people to carry concealed weapons. We're ready. This is New York. We're here to protect our people.
Well, if she's there to protect her people, she would allow her people to bear the arms that the Supreme Court thus far has said they can keep. The Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. The reason this happened is because nobody shot the killer. There was an elderly, retired Buffalo police officer there working as a security guard. He used his firearm. He probably hadn't qualified with the firearm, meaning practiced it and achieved a certain level of proficiency in some time, because he fired 4 or 5 rounds at the killer and he missed. But if the killer knew that all the people he was aiming had firearms, he would have thought twice. And if he didn't think twice, if hatred overcame reason, as it often does, somebody would have gotten to him. So, Governor Hochul, I don't know what you mean by you're ready. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution, which includes the Second Amendment, which includes the right to keep and bear arms. And the Supreme Court is about to clarify that, and there'll be very little you can do about it. Here she is again, now attacking the freedom of speech guaranteed by the First Amendment.
I'll protect the First Amendment any day of the week, but you don't protect hate speech. You don't protect incendiary speech. You're not allowed to scream fire in a crowded theater. There are limitations on speech, and right now we have seen this run rampant.
There are very, very few limitations on speech. You can't march in front of a Supreme Court justice's home with a bullhorn at 3 a.m, but you can say anything you want. Governor Hochul, check with your people who are lawyers and who know the Constitution. Hate speech is protected. Incendiary speech is protected. All innocuous speech is absolutely protected. And all speech is innocuous when there is time for more speech to challenge it. The government is not in the business and cannot be in the business of surveilling and suppressing and regulating speech. The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government out of the business of evaluating the free market in ideas. And as for you can't shout fire in a crowded theater, that is a red herring. If the government owns the theater, the government's not going to give you permission to shout fire. If the private property owner of the theater gives you permission to shout fire, you can shout fire. What am I talking about? The First Amendment only restrains the government. It doesn't restrain private property owners, but it restrains people like you, Governor Hochul, from trying to decide what is hate speech. What is the speech that I hate? Is it what Governor Hochul hates? Is it what almost everybody hates? What is incendiary speech? Because you can't define these things, and because the First Amendment protects all speech, the Supreme Court has keeping the government out of it. As for this killer, he probably will not be tried in a state court. He will probably be tried in a federal court. State of New York does not have the death penalty. The federal government does have the death penalty for murder animated by hate. This is first-degree murder, planned, plotted, targeted murder motivated by racial hatred. He is a classic candidate for prosecution in federal courts under the hate crimes provision of the federal statutes, which will expose him to the federal death penalty. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.